We're talking about the darkness, and it says on 4 lines from the top, Lo ra'u ish asachi v'lo kamu ish mitachtav shloshes yamim, v'lechol b'nei Yisrael haya or b'moshosam. So we're speaking about the idea of the Egyptians had darkness and the Jewish people had light. And we spoke about the darkness coming from Gehenna. Now there's a pasuk that says in the future, Hashem is going to bring out the sun in the future, and the Tzaddikim are going to be healed by the sun, and the Rishoyim are going to be burnt by the sun. That's what it says in the future. Tzaddikim are going to, the sun heals. In general, the sun heals. If you ever have a feeling while you go out in the sun has healing, powers. But it says in the, that in the future, the prophet says in the future, I'll bring out a shemesh tzedakah umarpe. It's going to bring a healing sun out, which is the tzaddikim are going to delight in the sun, and the rishayim are going to be burnt in the sun. So the Stipler, that's all he asks, how could you have, either it sunburns people or it heals people? Why should you have a situation where how do you have a situation some people are healed and some people are burnt by the same sun? So the Stipler talks about it being the light of truth. The light of truth means, if you would ask, picture the frummest guy you could think of, the most devoted servant of Hashem you could think of. Anybody that you could think of, whether it's Rav Chaim Kanievsky Zatzal or Moshe Feinstein, any one of these people, if you would get them on a lie detector so that you'd be convinced that they're telling you the truth, they are definitely telling the truth. It's whether or not you want to be convinced they're telling you the truth. They would honestly tell you feel they are coming up short in their service of God. That no matter what they do or whatever they've achieved, they could be or should be or would be achieving more at a higher level with greater kavana l'shem shemayim, a million and one areas. Ask your average, your average secular Jew who, puts on a yarmulke and goes to the kaisel and maybe drops a coin in the he thinks he's a tzaddik. Ask your average politician who did somebody a favor once. The guy's a liar, a cheater, a sneak, a thief, and he thinks he's fine. He thinks he's great. I'll just be fine. And what the Torah is telling us is that in the future, the sun is going to come out, the light of truth. And the tzaddikim who were so nervous that they're coming up short in their service of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, tzaddikim who are worried that I'm never doing enough, the light of truth will shine on them. You'll see that HaKadosh Baruch Hu will show, yes, you were fine. You were good. You were even better than good. You were great. And you live with a genuine fear that you're coming up short. Those are the people who the light of truth will show that they were actually good. And the Rishoyim, who are trying to deceive everybody and make people think that they're good and putting on a charade, the light of truth is going to come out, it's going to burn. They're going to burn with shame when they're exposed for what they really are. And that's the sun. That's the contrast between darkness and light, number one. Number two, and this is one of my favorite concepts. You guys know me well enough to know I'm not one for wearing Judaism on your sleeve. Just do what you have to do and don't put on a show for anybody. That's that's my attitude. And if you're going to do it, and by the way, the acid test, sometimes a guy's davening in public, a guy's davening like this, almost you feel like he's on a jungle gym, the guy just he's all over the place, burning calories. It's fine, as long as you daven that way when you're in your own room when nobody's around. If when nobody's around, it's just kind of like, but when you're in public, it's touchdown, you become a referee in public. Spare me the theatrics. If I want professional theatrics, I got other things to watch. So here the Torah says like this: Vayikra Paro el Moshe vayomer lechu yivdu es Hashem, page 344. Rak tzonechem uvekarchem yutzag. leave your cattle. Gam tapchem yelech imachem. Your children will go with you. Vayomer Moshe, oh no, I got news for you, bro. Gam atati teid biyadenu. We're not leaving any cattle behind. Not only we're not leaving any cattle behind, gam atati teid biyadenu zvachim ve'olos. You're also going to give us animals for offerings. Ve'asinu la'Hashem Elokeinu. Why? V'gam mikneh yelechem mikneh yelechem, and our cattle's going with us. Lo si shiur Parsha. Not one hoof is going to remain in Egypt. Not one hoof. Ki bimenu nikach la'avodas Hashem Elokeinu. Because we need to take for Hashem our God. V'anachnu lo neida ma na'avodas Hashem azboinu shama. We don't know how we're going to serve God till we get there. So we're going to take a lot with us. Like I always tell you, when you travel, take a lot of food because you don't know what's going to happen on the road. Right? Pack, take a lot of food. We're taking a lot of cattle. We're going to bring offerings to God. We don't know what God's going to want from us. And not only that, one of the Mepharshim says, he said to Paro, listen, we've been here 210 years. We haven't been able to offer. I don't know. It could be there's going to be a lot of makeup right now. Could be HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to tell us to bring a massive amount. So not only we're going to take our stuff, you're going to give us stuff too. How do you like that? Right? That's what Moshe says to Paro. Okay. But I saw there's one of the commentaries here. It might be the Kutzker. I don't remember. One of the Hasidic masters. He says like this. Imagine this is something that's happened to all of us. You know, you go to the best example. You go to the Kaisel to daven, and it could be you have a serious need to daven here. That could be somebody in your family's not well, or you need pardas, or you need shidduch, whatever it is. You really want to, really pump up a davening there, and you start. You start your davening, and the next thing you know, while you're davening and you're really trying to concentrate, all of a sudden you hear, right in your ear, and you're what do you call it? There's the somebody to relieve you of your weight, and so you just kind of like, it's kind of here. Just take it. I didn't come here to give tzedakah. I came here to daven. We're human, and I'm in the middle of trying to do something, and the guy's okay. And then I ask you a question: which one was a greater merit for you, your davening or giving 5 shekels to tzedakah? Which is the greater merit? We don't know. But sometimes in life we think that we know how to serve Hashem. And when are we going to find out what the truth is, what was the best way to serve Hashem? That's what the Pasuk says. V'anachnu lo neida. We won't know mana avodas Hashem, how we serve Hashem, ad bo'enu shama, till we come up there. Then we'll find out what our true service was. Then we'll find out what our true service of Hashem was. We got to do it all down here. But what was the real purpose that I ended up at the Kaisel that day? I thought I went there for davening. Hashem said, you think you went here for davening? You came here to give tzedakah. That's why. He came to you to give tzedakah. I'm irritated because I thought, like there's the big I again, because it's always what I want, what I'm thinking. Kadosh Baruch Hu may have a completely different plan for you. You may be on your way to shul in the morning to daven. You happen to give a guy a ride to shul. You picked up a guy on the way, gave a ride right on. Then you daven, mamish, you bring down malachim while you're in shul. You bring down, it starts thunder and lightning right around your seat. Then you find out after 120 years, the real purpose was to give that guy a ride to davening. I once came back from shul, and I walked into the house. My wife says to me, you look tense. I said, I don't look tense, I am tense. He said, why are you tense? I said, because I was just in shul for an hour, that's why. The guy next to me davened too loud. The guy on my other side was shaking the bench. Another guy wanted the window open. The other guy wanted the window closed. The chazan davened too slow. The second chazan davened too fast. The kid behind me nailed me in the back of the neck with a shtender. And 2 guys behind me wouldn't stop talking. I haven't even eaten breakfast yet. I haven't even gotten on a bus to go to work. And I just did 45 minutes of stress. And I'm convinced, and I'm not saying this as a joke, gentlemen, I'm convinced that the purpose of shul is to go and work on our midos. We also happen to daven there. The davening is the throw-in. What I'm really doing in shul is trying to work on my midos. I'm convinced, because there's an awful lot to get ticked on in shul. Right? What do you call it? The rabbi's speech was too long, and the guy behind me, his speech was too short. The guy next to me didn't talk enough. The rabbi talked too much. This guy bothering me. Kid poked me in the back of the neck with his lulav. If you're ever doing the Hashkafas, never walk in front of or behind a kid when you're going around, because the height of the kid's lulav is right either at your neck or eye level. And always allow somebody to go. If there's a kid in front of me, sir, why don't you go right ahead? I need both my eyes still. And the kid's holding it like a rifle over his shoulder. And he's poking, and he's always got the sharpest lulav in the show. So everywhere this happens all the time, where we think we know how to serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and then we'll find out at the end. We'll find out what was the real purpose in life. And sometimes in life a person doesn't even achieve his real goal for having been brought. This is just the little things, where it could be this and it could be that. It could be that my whole purpose last Shabbos, my whole purpose of Shabbos, I kept Shabbos, I kept an entire Shabbos, I ate shont properly, I did every properly. It could be that the biggest mitzvah I did on Shabbos was one guy in the shul who I turned to him on the way out and I said, good Shabbos. This is the one guy who was hurting, and he feels nobody likes me, and everybody hates me, and I think I'll eat worms. And I happened to turn to him. Not that I did. I'm just giving an example. On my way out of shul, he happened to turn to the guy, hey, good Shabbos, Frank. And you walked out, and you made his Shabbos. And it could be that was their whole purpose. That was bigger than all your daving and all your. We don't know. We got to do it all. But we'll find out what it really was when we get there. Then we'll find out what it was. Sometimes the things that we think are big issues, and generally the rule is if it was easy for you, it wasn't. We think it's a big deal. And we have no way. You could be going to the airport to go visit a sick friend and fulfill the mitzvah of Bikur Cholim. While you were in the airport, some guy asked you, do you mind joining us for a minyan? We need to make a minyan in the airport. And you joined him for the minyan, and it could be that was the whole reason HaKadosh Baruch Hu brought you through the airport. The whole trip was just to get you to go to this minyan in the airport, to be there. There are always minions in airports, by the way. If you ever need a minion, go to the airport. If you missed the last shopping, you'll just go to the airport. There's always a Jew getting a minion together there. You go on El Al. El Al is like called the flying Stiebel. If you fly from L.A., and you fly to Israel from LA, you could end up davening on the plane 4 times. On the way to Israel, you can't relax because there's always a davening coming. You can't sleep for 2. There's always a davening coming. On the way there, it's a pleasure. You drive through the night. There's nothing you daven before you get on the plane, and then you sleep. You wake up for nates. The only time I ever daven nates, But the on the way to what do you call it? On the way to Israel, so you could end up davening 4 times coming from Los Angeles. So there, the what do you call it? We don't know. The person never knows the. Okay. Take a look at Pasuk now. Then it says like this. Vaychazek Hashem esleiv Paro. V'lo oval shalcham. Hashem hardens Paro's heart, and he won't send them out. Then Vayomer Paro. One second, I skipped something here. No, here we go. Vaychazek Hashem esleiv Paro v'lo oval shalcham. Vayomer lo Paro lech me alai. Paro says to Moshe, leave. He shomer lecha al tosef re'os panai. Be careful that you never come back to see me. Ki biyom re'os panai. The day you see me, you're going to die. They should be bothered by something over here. Paro says to Moshe, you ever come back again, you're going to die. Anything bother you about that?
Yeah, he wants him to come back.
He doesn't want him to come back. He will want him to come back, and he's going to go looking for him.
Why didn't he say this before?
Excellent. What took you? It took you 9 plagues to get here? We just finished the plague of darkness. Finally, it took you 9 plagues till you finally said, hey, Paro, you're either a slow learner, right? I mean, I would have said it the first time. I said, get out of here. You ever come back? What took him 9 plagues to say that? Finally woke up?
He grew up in his house, right?
What?
He grew up in his house.
So it took that, and so if you grew up in the house, it takes 9 plagues till you get to that point?
Firstborn died.
What? No, we're before the firstborn. He hasn't even told about the firstborn yet. So one of the Farshim says that Paro was convinced until this point he was convinced, Rav Perlman, he said, Paro was convinced until this point that Moshe is some sort of either a sorcerer or a trickster or something. I want to learn his tricks. And it's worth going through the suffering to learn those tricks. At the point that Paro feels either there's nothing more to learn or I'm convinced at this point, yeah, I want him out. Sometimes in life it's worth paying a price. It's worth paying the price in order to achieve something. I don't know if you ever heard of Lou Ferrigno. You ever heard of Lou Ferrigno? The Hulk, the Incredible Hulk, the incredibly wise Hulk. So Lou Ferrigno is one of these, bodybuilders, trying to get himself to look as much like a gorilla as possible. And they once asked him, they were interviewing Lou Ferrigno, and he said he used to pump weights in the weight room until he got to the point where he passed out from the pain. No. But then he made a lot more money being the Incredible Hulk than I did the Incredible Kaplan, teaching at Ohr Somayach. And there's a reason, because he invested it being the Incredible Hulk. And that's where he made the money. A lot of other guys would have liked to make that money. He made the money. Listen, I could bench at my peak, I think I was able to bench 260. Yeah, I bench meaning Birkas Hamazon. I could say 260 words a minute in Birkas Hamazon. I could bench 260. That's you mean weights? Oh, I could probably get a good 70 or 80 pounds. In two tries. It's like by the way, I got a 40. I don't know if you know this. The SATs, I don't know. The SATs are 1600 still. It's up to 24. In my days, it was 1600 out of the SATs. I got a 1480 on the SATs. Thank you very much. Thank you. This guy took it twice, so we combined the scores. That was so what do you call it? It takes something. You're going to have to invest if you want to get there. Paro is willing to invest. At the point that he feels there's no more, he says to Moshe Rabbeinu, "You come back, you're going to die." Look at Moshe Rabbeinu's reaction. Vayomer Moshe, Kain dibarta, so you have spoken, lo osif od ros panach, I will not come back to see you. But if you read it that way, we're missing the reading here. Moshe is really saying, lo osif od ros panecha, I won't be coming back to you, but you'll be coming back to me. Right? That means that in the plague of the firstborn, who goes looking for who? Paro goes looking for Moshe. Moshe says, listen, you said, I won't be coming, you're right, I won't be coming back for you, but you'll be coming back for me. That's the diuk, right? What's the implication? And Moshe says, lo sifod ros panecha. Okay. Now, HaKadosh Baruch Hu comes to Moshe Rabbeinu in Perek Yud Aleph, Pasuk Aleph. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu comes to Moshe Rabbeinu and he says, Vayomer Hashem el Moshe, od negeh echad avi el Paro v'Mitzrayim. I'm going to bring one other plague. Al kain acharechen yishalach eschem mizeh, and then he's going to send you out. Paro's going to send you out. Where is it? Sorry, I forgot one point over here. What was Paro trying? Why did Paro want Moshe Rabbeinu not to come back? Paro thought that if I could prevent Moshe Rabbeinu from warning me, then there won't be any more plagues. Right? The whole point here is stop him from warning me. If I could get Moshe Rabbeinu not to warn me, because all the plagues came after warnings. Some of them came after, they were in a series of a couple of warnings, then the third one without a warning. Paro figures, okay, no more warning. I just got one without a warning. No more warning, and then I'll be okay. So it's almost as that's like the guy who said, the guy who used to smoke cigarettes says, one day I read that I was reading something that says cigarette smoking is extremely dangerous for your health, so I immediately quit reading. All right. So you're missing the point over here. You think the problem is not a warning over here. I'll stop Moshe for a bit. I'll stop the warning. So Moshe says, "Kain dibarta lo sifrot panecha." Okay, listen. You've said this before. Kain dibarta. You said it before. When did Paro say it before? When he tried to execute Moshe the first time. You're threatening me. You tried killing me once a long time ago. Remember the executioner who the sword bounced off his neck and it killed him? Remember that? Oh, right. Yeah. So what makes you think you're going to get me now? Okay. Vayomer Hashem al Moshe, od nega echad avi al paro. I'm going to bring one more plague. He's going to send you out. He's going to chase you out of here. Now, the question becomes like this. Hashem says to Moshe, Paro is going to send you out. You see, in life, there are certain times, there are certain things a person has to do. You have to do it. There used to be a commercial on TV for Midas mufflers, I think. And this guy, who the sneaky, he says, you could either, pay now. He's trying to convince you to buy the Midas mufflers. They're the best mufflers, obviously. And he says, you could pay now or pay later. Right? But one way or another, you're going to pay. Right? And it comes to Avodat Hashem. Sometimes there are certain things Hashem wants us to do. Now, you could do it now, or you could do it under these circumstances, or you could do it under those circumstances. One way or another, you're going to do it. So, for example, let's say Hashem wants a person to daven. You could daven now, and a person says, I'm not into davening. I don't do davening. So Hakadosh Baruch Hu says, oh, really? Okay. Next thing you know, this person has a relative who's not well. Now a person's going to daven, because all of a sudden, now, hey, this is serious business. Then a person davens. So Hakadosh Baruch Hu says, listen, you can do it your way, you can do it my way. One way or another, you're going to do it. A person's going to give, there's a certain amount of money that you're given. The Gemara says, in the course of the year, you're going to earn a certain amount of money, and a certain amount of money is going to, you're limited how much you're going to have. Now, there are different ways of losing your money. Not losing it, of reducing your money. You can either give tzedakah, or it could get taken away from you. And it's a good idea. So Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai had a dream that his nephews are going to have to give up a certain amount of money that they're going to lose in the course of the year. His nephews. So Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai urged them to give tzedakah. He kept nudging them to give. They kept giving tzedakah, and they got up to a certain point, and then the government taxed them or took away the rest of the money, which led to the total that Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai had dreamed. So they were upset. So Rabbi Yochanan said, don't be upset. Don't be upset. I knew that they were going to lose this much, but you got most of it, gave to tzedakah. Because some of it you could do it pleasantly. Paro, you could have sent them out nicely. You're going to send them out. One way or another, you're going to send them out. And sometimes in life, you're going to do it, so you may as well do it anyway. Did your mother ever say to you, if you're going to do it with a smile? Did your mother ever hear that from your mother? If you're going to do it, have you ever heard that? If you're going to do it with a smile. I never said that to my kids. Because mothers always say that. So I never said it because I don't think it's fair. First of all, I don't see the mothers always smiling. When a mother goes to start washing dishes on Motzei Shabbos and she's scrubbing crusty cholent pots, I don't see her like, this is we do the cholent pot, Gamzilla Tova. You got to do it. Certain things in life got to be done. That way you can do it happily. You got to do it. I used to say to my kids, listen, guys, you need to fold the laundry. You can do it happily, don't happily, but fold. I don't care if you're happy or not. I'm not happy about it either. Just fold the laundry. Right? And women are always do if you're going to do it with a smile. Who's going to do everything with a smile? Let's go file our taxes with a smile. What's a smile about? Right? So, Paro, you're going to do it. One way or another, you're going to do it. Now, pay attention carefully. Look at the next pasuk. Daber na be'oznei speak to the people. V'yishalu ish me'esra eyu v'isha me'esra uza klei chesed v'klei zahav. And tell all the people to ask their friends, the Egyptians, for silver and gold, what do you call it? Go tell them to ask the Egyptians. Now, if you notice, daber no means please convince the people, please ask the people, please ask the Egyptians for gold and silver. I mean, gentlemen, who we're talking about here? Talk about Jews. Go ask them for some freebies. Come on, please ask them for some freebies. Twist my arm. I was born under the freebie star. What do you mean? What do you? Daber no? Hashem says, please convince the people to ask the Egyptians for gold and silver. Number one. What?
Please ask
No,
nicely.
just to get the Jewish people to ask.
Wait, the Jewish people to ask please, or Moshe saying please go get them?
Hashem is saying to Moshe Rabbeinu, please convince the Jewish people to ask for the free stuff. Number one. Number two, Ish me'es re'ehu. What does the word re'ehu mean? His friend? What, from the friendly Egyptians? Go tell the Jews to ask from their friendly, from their Egyptian friends. What kind of friends? Huh? What kind of friends? Egypt, all of a sudden the Egyptians, oh yes, my friend. Like when you go to the Arab shuk. Yes, my friend, come my friend. You know, get my friend, give me your money, my friend. Right? What kind of friends over here? So first of all, I was once walking through the Arab shuk years ago, this long time ago, and I remember a guy walking ahead of me, or was it me or somebody else? He said, "Where are you from?" It's either me, I don't remember. I said it to him. I said Chicago. He goes, Mayor Daley. I think to myself, wow, this guy's so cultured. How did he know? Well, that's interesting. Then I hear the next guy, he says, where are you from, my friend? He says, Detroit. He says, Mayor Daley. I say, okay, I'm not sure he knows what mayor is. I'm not sure he knows what Daley is. At the end of the day, where's the friendship? We're friends with the Egyptians. What are you friends with over here? So the answer is like this. There are, first of all, the Egyptians, the Medrash says, they got real friendly with the Jews. When they're getting smacked around, they got real, hi, how are you? Yeah. They're just really, and so when he says ask from your friends, he doesn't mean literal friends. It means these people are acting friendly towards you. But why would the Jews be resistant that Hashem has to ask Moshe to convince them? Two reasons that the Jews would be resistant to asking for this stuff. Gold, silver, garments. The Medrash says that the garments were even more precious to them than the gold and silver. Why would the Jews, what cause would there be, what motivation for them what would they be resistant that they now need to be convinced to go and ask for freebies?
It would look like all the punishment they went through now is evened out.
You're on the right track. Yeah.
Like reparations don't do justice.
You mean we don't want the reparations. Interesting. Never saw that. Very interesting idea. You know, don't think we're going to make it. It's going to be all because now you're giving this stuff. It's all hunky dory. I'll tell you the truth. If I was given reparations, I would take it. I'll tell you. I never understood what good does it do to not take the reparations. You know, it doesn't do it any good. I was once ticked off at El Al because something happened on the flight. And I wrote them a letter. So they sent me like a voucher, you know, for $50, you know, voucher off the next ticket or something. And I just like, no, they're not getting away with that. Either a seat in first class or nothing at all. And that was stupid. I got rid of the voucher. And it was stupid. I should have taken off $50 off the next ticket. I wasn't going to get the seat in first class anyway, so I may as well take it off. They'd say, well, don't reject it. They're giving it to you. What good does it do to reject? What their conscience? They're not even alive. The people, I don't know. If somebody's giving it to you, take. That's a rule in life. They're offering you, take. Here, there are two reasons. Reason number one, if we don't want to give them a reason to chase us. And today they're giving it to us friendly, but we're leaving Egypt. Well, then all of a sudden they're going to turn around looking for his Rolex and like, whoa, who's got my Rolex? Fievel Goldman over there. Hey, yo, he's got my Rolex. Take my children, don't take my Rolex. So, who knows, they're going to come after them. I don't want to give them a reason, number one. Number two, let me ask you human nature. There's a little old lady, you're walking outside, it's a boiling hot day, and there's a little old lady carrying packages. And she lives a couple of blocks down. And you see she's struggling. So you pick up the packages and you walk along with this little old lady. And you carry it all the way up to her house. And it takes a half hour of your time, and it's hot. Then she says, oh, you're such a nice boy. And she wants to give you 20 shekels. Would you take it?
No.
Wouldn't take it. Why not, Shoal?
First 2 times,
Because it's act of goodwill. I feel like I don't deserve payment for that. I'll just do it out.
Yeah, but you got free. You're right, but you got the 20 shekels.
I would expect more.
There's a man after my heart. If she pulls out a 20, you say, do I hear 50? There we go. Nice. Okay. You wouldn't take it. Nobody in this room would take it. And if you offered 100 shekels, you wouldn't take it either.
No, what if we go like no, and then I say no again, and she insists?
For that, we wouldn't take money.
Okay.
For that, we wouldn't take money. Why? I'll tell you what's really going on. On one hand, we don't want to reduce the reward for the mitzvah. If you take payment, you find a lost object and you give it back, you don't take a reward. If you take a reward, it reduces the reward up there. not worth the reward. You find $1,000 and you bring. There are big cases like this. Somebody found $1,000, you give it back, they give you $20. You can take it, but it's going to just reduce the reward in the world to come. But it's more than that. What does this lady now think of me when I brought her bag? What does she think of me? Tzaddik. Tzaddik. I finally got somebody in the world who thinks I'm a tzaddik. Now I'm such a tzaddik, I think I'm going to give myself a bracha. You know, you see, well, yeah. I'm a tzaddik. I like the idea that somebody thinks I'm worth something. If I take the money from her, I know that that's going to reduce me in her eyes. The Jewish people now demonstrated they were the 3 days of darkness. They had free reign of the Egyptian homes. They went through a blackout and no looting. Did you imagine? There was no looting. There's a blackout for 3 days and 6 days and no looting? In America, there's a blackout for 20 minutes. You know, every shop on the street is bombed. Windows are gone. You know, there isn't a window left. Through 6 days of looting? No looting? What do the Egyptians think of the Jewish people right now? Ooh, this is a special nation. I don't want to lose that. I don't want to go asking them for stuff now. I like living with the idea that they're looking at us as we're different than you. We're not like you. To the contrary, we're not like you. That's why people say, what would we do if we could get a hold of the Nazis? You know what we would do? We would do nothing. Because that would show that, you see, we're not like you. Okay, so they're going to be punished, obviously, be executed, that sort of thing. We're not going to torture and enjoy every minute of it, because we're not like you. When we have the opportunity, we don't behave like you do. We're different, and we like to be seen as being different, and we don't want to be reduced. And therefore, they're not going to, Moshe Rabbeinu says, please ask them. Is it gava? It's a certain amount of self-respect. It's a self-respect and haughty and gaiva and arrogance are two different things. Self-respect means we dress decently. You have to have a certain amount of self-respect. We don't walk the streets looking like Tarzan. We have to dress ourselves nicely, clean ourselves up. We don't walk around smelling bad or looking goopy. That's self-respect. Gaiva is when you're strutting. And there's a certain amount of, first of all, it's not gaiva because we declare that we are the chosen people. And when it comes to other people, we want you to see that we're the chosen people. And therefore, I think it's the Meshech Chochmah, he says, that's why Moshe Rabbeinu has to try to convince them. It's okay. I'm telling you, ask them. This is what Hashem wants you now, in spite of that. Hashem wants you to ask them for the goods. Now watch this. Yeah.
I had a quick question.
You're good.
Apply for your sovereign zevulun if someone's trying to, let's say, pay for their learning?
That's when you should and when you shouldn't take money is different. Now, yes, an important question, by the way. Sometimes a person insists on giving you a gift or insists on paying you for something. There I found, sometimes, I'm uncomfortable taking it, but sometimes in life, this is where you have to be smart enough to know, what does the other person, what's the real chesed over here? Sometimes the chesed is to let the person give to you. I had recently somebody wanted to give me something, and I said to him, listen, you don't have to, but if it makes you happy, then okay. You have to worry about what they're happy. You know where this comes up all the time? A woman invites her friend's family for Shabbos. And the woman says, okay, what can I bring? Now, every hostess in the world doesn't need help. Jewish women do not need help making meals, number one. And number two, there's sometimes I want to feel that, there are going to be compliments. Women, that's a big thing by women with cooking is the compliments. In all the cookbooks, you always read, serve this one and the compliments will roll. Which is fine. You want to be complimented. And nobody wants to feel that we're more than the compliment. If I serve somebody else's food, it makes it look like I wasn't capable. Now, the lady calls up and says, what can I bring? Just bring yourselves. No, maybe I'll bring the liver. No, that's okay. The gefilte fish. No, that's okay. At the end of the day, who is doing who the favor here? By allowing her to bring, you're doing her the favor. And that's the hardest thing in life. Right. Because nobody's going to know that. Because now you have other guests at your table, you have other people, now you're serving her food or her challahs or her thing, and nobody knows that the real motivation here, well, you can't get up at the table, by the way, I was doing this as a chesed for her. That you can't do. That you can't do. So who's really doing it? I remember this when my oldest son was about 3 years old, and I went out to build a sukkah. So he came out to help me with his plastic hammer. So after a certain amount of time, after him helping me graciously for about a half hour, I then, brought him into the house, said, maybe help mommy in the kitchen now. Yeah, because now, who's helping who? The little boy is banging with his hammer. Who's helping? Oh, thank you. You're going in the house now. I can't take too much help, kid. And now who's helping who? You're doing for him. And ultimately, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, we're the kid with the hammer. Because sometimes we put on tefillin or we learn Torah, we do a mitzvah. Oh, I'm doing something for Hashem. Hashem has given us the privilege of doing it. And we're the kid with the hammer. We're the little kid. We're the 3-year-old with the hammer. That's all we are. So we think, oh, I did Hashem a favor. I put on tefillin. Don't worry. He's got plenty of leather up there. He doesn't need our leather down here. So what are we? We're that kid. Okay, one more point. It's very important. Gam ha'ish vayiten Hashem eschena b'nei Mitzrayim. Hashem puts the grace of the people in the eyes of the Egyptians. Here, please take my gold. Take my friend, take. Gam ha'ish Moshe godol me'od be'eretz Mitzrayim. The man Moshe was very great, the land of Egypt. Be'enei avdei paro uve'enei ha'am. In the eyes of the servants of Paro and in the eyes of the people. So one of the ideas here is like this. Okay, this is a very, very important idea. How do we select, you've heard the expression, he's one of the Gedolim, the Gadol Hador. He's one of the great leaders of the generation. How do they get elected? How did they get selected? How did they become the Gedolim? How did Rav Moshe Feinstein become Rav Moshe and Rav Elyashiv and Rav Chaim Kanievsky? And today you have Rav Gershon Edelstein. Today we have, Rav Moshe, what do you call it? Rav Hirsch. What's his, I forgot his middle name. And you have Rav Dov Landau. How did they get elected? Rav Ovadia Yosef. How did they, Rav Shalom Cohen? How did they become the Gedolim? What's that? Their peers. The peers. It's not a popularity context where you're elected by the small people. Because it's really the peers who know. That means you had the Chazon Ish, and the Chazon Ish and the Chafetz Chaim and the Chazon Ish all agreed that the Stipler was one of the Gedolim, and the Chazon Ish and Stipler agreed that Rav Moshe Feinstein and Rav Shach and all. It's your peers could recognize the greatness. Now, if you were an Egyptian, a regular one of the less intellectual Egyptians, and you heard about, what would you be impressed with Moshe Rabbeinu? What are you impressed with Moshe Rabbeinu? Whoa, the miracles, the miracle man. But look at the pasuk, Gam ha'ish Moshe, the man Moshe, the actual man, not the miracles. Godol me'od be'eretz Mitzrayim. Be'enei avdei paro. Remember I told you, avdei paro always means a sophisticated inner circle. Avdei paro means the inner circle of Paro. These are the people who are higher level intellectually. These are people who are more developed, more sophisticated. What do they recognize first? Ha'ish Moshe. They recognize the quality of the man Moshe. Uveineam. And then the rest of the people recognize also. But who sees him clearly more than anybody else is the people who are clearest, who are nearest to his level. When it comes to Torah scholarship, the people at the bottom get, they have, lahavdil, in sports, they have two types of ways of selecting the all-star team. There's when the fans vote and when the players vote. Now, which one is really an indication of who the best players are? When the players vote. Of course, because the players know who's really worth something. The fans, it's the guys, well, he's good because he's in my city. Stuff the ballot boxes. Who's really knows is the players themselves, though. The guys inside, they're the ones who know. The Torah is telling you they're not voted. Has nothing to do with popular following. You could have millions of followers. It doesn't mean anything because your followers, what do they know? They're taken by sensationalism. Quality recognizes quality. Quality is needed for quality. To bamboozle people or to impress people, that doesn't take very much. That doesn't take very much. That doesn't mean anything in Yiddishkeit. What it means is when the people of quality, they the ones who recognize quality, that means something. Okay, and if all the stuff is it's available at our website, davidbkaplan.com, for all the review parshas and all the other important stuff. Tomorrow we have regular shiur tomorrow, mitzvah Hashem.